Hi Capricorn, welcome to your mid-September 2019 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. So this reading is meant to kind of encompass the middle of September period. As kind of like a mid-month update, I will be back for an end of the month update, probably, in the last week of September or so. But I just wanted to tell you that there's going to be a full moon on the 14th around this time of the mid-month. And this is going to be at 21 degrees of Pisces, which is your third house of communication. So, and also like writing. So if you've been writing something, maybe you've been designing a website, this might be when you're pretty much done with that, or maybe you've been taking some kind of a training course and you'll be done. Something like that. Okay, I'm gonna put all these cards in a pile here so they're not in our way. Okay. The heart of the matter is the Six of Wands. Swords. This is a card of leaving a, maybe a stressful kind of a situation, or in looking for that peace. The number 6 connects with Venus. And Venus is the goddess of love and beauty, and there's a certain kind of serenity with the number 6, family harmony. And just, harmonious conditions in general. And Venus is a planet associated also with pleasure. So with the swords, it can be strife, it can be, conflict, and you want to get away from all of that. Let's see why. In the past position, we have the Ace of Wands. This can be a new career, but I think it's like an entrepreneurial thing perhaps. Maybe you have dealt with workplace matters long enough. Remember that Capricorn rules the 10th house of career. And Capricorn is a cardinal sign, so you are more than capable of being able to do something on your own and really make something happen by yourself. But I wouldn't be surprised if the average Capricorn is more likely to work for somebody else. That would be an interesting kind of like a survey. It'd be fun to just do like astrological surveys to see how many people of one sign have a tendency to do certain things. And the reason I say that you might be more likely to work for somebody else is that Capricorn rules tradition and structures. And so like a government job, for instance, and where there's a hierarchy or maybe a corporate environment. And the idea of being an entrepreneur may seem too shaky to the average Capricorn, or too experimental, like, is this going to work, and unstable, but not just for the monetary reasons, but because it's not established. And Saturn is very much about what has come before, traditional. But it certainly could be that you are branching out on your own. There's a strong streak of independence with wands or fire energy. And you have Saturn transing your sign. So you may be more likely to be thinking towards the future. And ironically, you might think that you have a better shot at success. And I'm not just talking about somebody who is in their 20s or 30s, but somebody who's even older who has experienced ups and downs in their career, where you may just kind of say, oh, well, I don't want to, excuse me, I don't want to risk anything. I want to go with what is already established. And yet, this may be the time when you kind of have more tendency to be on your own because of that Saturn influence making you think of the future. I think I kind of spoke in circles, but hopefully you got what I meant. That, you know, it's the typical position is that if you work for somebody else, you know, you have a guaranteed paycheck and blah, blah, blah. But some of these companies don't last. They fold. For instance, banks that they merge with other banks, and then somebody loses their job, or, you know, people lose their jobs, and they may have, that might have been why they were working in the bank, because they thought that was really a safe type of work environment. But if you have gone through this kind of thing and you're like, you know, restructuring, I think they call it, in any kind of field, you may be like ready to just bail. And that might be what the Six of Swords is about. That you're tired of the upheaval and you want that kind of situation. Excuse me. But the thing is, I do want to say, Capricorn, there may be a few of you horn dogs. There are some Capricorns who are horn dogs who, like, you know how they say, like, old goats, you know, a goat is the symbol of Capricorn, but what was that saying of, like, you know, isn't the goat like kind of randy or something? I don't know. But anyway, the Ace of Wands could be like a hot, passionate affair, and that may have made you realize that you needed to leave your significant other because it wasn't working out, and maybe you didn't want to cheat, but it was like that was a catalyst for that, you know, in an affair. The higher message is the Hermit card. So this is the need to seek that inner light, to kind of do some serious soul searching and reflect on some of the choices that you may have been making and really what was behind them. If you feel a sense of shame, if you feel a sense of confusion, understand that while you may not have done the right thing, you did it for a reason. And that should be the focus. Not what you did, but why you did it. And it could be it could be something where you're just so you were just so pent up, where you were in a situation that you just couldn't, you didn't feel that sense of freedom, whether it was a marriage or whether it was a workplace situation where maybe you were kind of kept from being creative, being autonomous, and it just ate away at you after a while. What crosses you is the Sun card, which is a card of love, healing, prosperity, all these things. Now, from what I understand, even though when I'm picking these cards, it's not whether or not they're upright. It's the position is going to be read as the challenge position. So some reversed cards are actually positive versions of what the card represents. So I don't worry about how I draw the card, but just putting it in the challenge position means that I'm looking at the challenge meaning of the card. And for the sun, it would be in the reverse position. And it means partial success. So, for instance, let's say that you had a fling with somebody, and maybe you thought it was going to lead to something more, and it didn't. And yet, there was success there because it caused you to leave a relationship that you should have left a long time ago, probably. And that's just one example. And you may be leaving a job and feeling a sense of failure, that you couldn't stick it out. Capricorn, to me, is like the stiff upper lip. The person, because of Saturn says, pull up your big girl panties and deal with it, you know. Don't whine about anything. And while that is true, you know, that we shouldn't complain and that we should be more action oriented rather than just sitting around and complaining, it doesn't mean that people are not hurting when they're in that position. And so the Sun card, I think, promises that you will experience the wonderful things that this card has to, that it makes available to you. For instance, success, you know, maybe success in your new career, success, love in a new relationship. It might not be what you're dealing with right now, but it might be sometime in the near future. But you have to believe that that's even possible. And a lot of Capricorns tend to be cynical, and they may even feel like, you know, like definitely pessimistic. So you have to keep that vibe of the Sun, which is like about positivity, in the forefront of your mind. And any kind of setbacks, view with the lens of what the Sun represents, of that expansive energy. What's coming in, or the advice, is the Four of Swords. Taking time out. I mean, we have the Hermit and the Four of Swords. This can be like resting from communication, going within, but even physical rest is needed. Maybe you need more rest, because you may have left a very stressful relationship or job situation, and you need to kind of replenish yourself. And I did get that card for another sign, and I was talking about like a social media fast, where you just are online for what you really need, and you're not doing that, and you do it, you know, what I see normally is about 30 days. But the thing is, then the people tend to go back into their old ways. And the whole point of a challenge, or, you know, doing a certain action for a certain period of time, is not to kind of like brag that you were able to do it, you know, that you won the challenge, but to start to rewire your brain in what it expects, you know, talking about addictions, even to electronics, even to all the online things. But also the Four of Swords can be like maybe not being so talkative with people that you know. And we're not talking about it having to be a long period of time, but maybe you need just to relax from communication as well. And that will not only give you your answers, because with the Hermit, you're searching your soul. You're trying to say, okay, now what? And you can gain that clarity that you need. The outcome is the Knight of Pentacles. If this is a work situation, I think you're going to decide, and this may be after you have some rest, that you're just going to roll up your sleeves, get down to work, and just be knocking it out day after day. The Knight of Pentacles is connected to Taurus, and Taurus is a fixed earth sign. And as a fixed earth sign, Taurus tends to be quite set in his or her ways. And yet, a Taurus person who has a goal, and especially a tangible goal or a material goal, can be quite diligent in day after day putting time into that area. You know, it's as simple as showing up for work every day, but just day after day after day, and maybe like really being active earning money, but also perhaps in saving it, because perhaps there's a goal in mind at the end. And it could even be like work is your salvation right now. And worrying about the future isn't really where it's at. It's just more about if you have moved or you are planning to move. You know, once you move, it's about just working and just doing so with a sense of, how can I put it? Just I don't want to say plodding, but a rhythm, a strong habit that the person engages in, and their drive is coming from a desire. Maybe it's a material goal. Maybe you are working towards a down payment on a house, or you want to be able to travel or something like that, and you need that kind of money, but you have to amass it. You can't just do what you want to do on one paycheck. You have to just save after, and that's going to take you working. And maybe you're working 2 jobs and you just have the strong work ethic at this time. Okay, Capricorn, that's what I have for you. I hope that you enjoyed this, and if you'd like a personal reading, the link is below to my website. Take care. Bye.